It's so exciting to be able to have Rem Koolhaas, David Gianotten and the OMA team working on the 2017 MPavilion. Rem, of course, is one of the most highly respected architectural thinkers of the 21st century. His firm has designed and built some of the most incredible buildings all over the world. They're a multidiscipline approach architectural firm. They really are looking to the future. Their establishment of their research arm, AMO, is there to balance their actual working with the built form now and thinking about the future and how architecture is going to be in the future is extremely exciting from my point of view, and the MPavilion really reflects the way architecture is going in the future.
Naomi Milgram is interested in having an effect on Melbourne. Melbourne is the cultural capital of Australia, and so therefore it's the right place to address many different issues and to ask many different questions. And that's one thing I really like about doing pavilions. You don't quite know what will happen in them. They don't have a very precise program, but at the same time you know that people will meet there, that you have to kind of promote the interaction between people, and that you have to make something that is noticeable enough and effective enough to inject something in a city that wasn't there and that will also disappear.
The MPavilion is a place for debate embedded in the landscape of the park, located with its view open to the city. It's more or less a roof under which we have an amphitheater that can be transformed in different configurations, very centrally for performance, but also a kind of by rotating part of the amphitheater fully open towards the city, which creates different pockets where different activities can play a role, but where also suddenly the park with the city as its backdrop can be the scene for the activity and the debate in the pavilion. It's embedded in the landscape on purpose so that people see it come up from the nature in the park, and where the main structure is the grid structure that is above it, which is a roof that has all kinds of technical and fun possibilities to support the activity below. And then the top, which is the roof or the grid that we create, which is the signaling element of the project, so that it captures the sun and it captures the light, and therefore really signals this is where you need to be, without being able to see the density and the amphitheater that is underneath.
I think each architect in the world has, no matter how remote, a kind of utopian gene. And that part of the utopian gene is to want to have, if not change the world, at least to have a positive effect on the world. And with each new kind of project, you try to kind of realize kind of part of a very large ambition into, you try to channel that in a kind of very small and specific entity, to try to be very precise, but never to lose that dimension of doing something kind of positive for the world. And that also explains both the kind of compactness, the simplicity of the project, but it's not without ambition. It's a kind of project that hopes to provoke a real discussion about what architecture can do in a country like Australia. I was interested in, the first time I was in Australia, to notice it's a kind of almost perfect society, but it's lacking perhaps only in intensity, and what is exciting and provocative is that can maybe through a very small thing like a pavilion, you might inject a certain amount of intensity.
What for us is very interesting is that we are not only involved in looking at the pavilion as an architectural object, but that we are also discussing with the Naomi Milgram Foundation how the pavilion can get a second life after the summer, but also how the programming can contribute to a 24-hour life cycle, which we exchange with the foundation constantly, which to us is very exciting as an additional ingredient to the pavilion.
REM's articulation of architecture as a wrapper of activity is totally in line with what we're doing at the MPavilion. It's a wrapper for all of the performances and everything that goes on inside the pavilion, and it allows us all as a wrapper for activity to be on the outside as well, which is part of the way we like to work our performances, our talks, our music, our engagement and the public's engagement with the MPavilion.